Hello Fantasy Managers and welcome to another video from myself, Will, and fantasyfootballhub.co.uk. Today I'm going to be going over 5 tips to starting the season well. So these aren't player tips, but they are general tips and advice for getting off to a good start in FPL. Let's get to it. So I've been absolutely blown away by the amount of hits that I got on the last video. Over 20,000 of you guys watched it. So thank you for that. I know I've got a lot of new subscribers to the channel, so I thought I'd give a very quick intro to who I am and why I'm creating these videos. So I'm founder of Fantasy Football Hub and I've been playing FPL for 10 years now, and I've done a ride at the game. You can see my rank history on the side there. As an example, I came 355th last year, which equates to the top 0.01% of managers in the game. So I like to think I know a thing or two about playing the game, and my goal is to try and help you become a better FPL manager and improve your ranks, and that's part of what this video is about. Okay, so my first tip is don't take punts. Now, what do I mean by punts? Well, I don't mean differentials. If there is a low ownership player in the game, then I don't think that is necessarily a bad thing to go for them. So I'm not saying don't go for differential players. What I am saying is don't take punts. And what do I mean by punts? I mean players, for example, from newly promoted teams. I completely avoid them for the start of the season. It's good to know about them and it's good to read about them and look out for if they do well. But personally, for me, they're not going to be anywhere near my team. So the other category that I would consider a punt is injury-prone players. Just don't go near them. They're just not worth the risk. You'll end up transferring them out, taking a four-point hit. You've just got to avoid those injury-prone players. The third and final one that I'd consider a punt is new players to the league. Just try and avoid them. They're, every now and again you'll get someone who absolutely hits the ground running and they really fit in well with the team and they fit in well with the league. But more often than not, they take time to settle in and they're not worth the value, or they'll be in and out of the team. The manager will be easing them in with minutes. So those are 3 categories. Avoid newly promoted teams, avoid injury-prone players, and avoid new players to the league, so new signings. Okay, my next tip is possibly a little bit controversial, and this is how I like to play the start of the season, and that's to be quite aggressive with your transfers. So the reason I do that is a couple of reasons. One is because you want to get your team well set up for the whole season. So if you don't have the team that you need at the start, and it's very difficult actually to get a good Game Week 1 team because you just don't have a lot of information. But after a few game weeks, you realize who those better picks are, then you want to get those players into your team. So whether that is being aggressive and making early moves in the transfer market, maybe taking the occasional hit. You've got to be careful with hits, obviously. Don't take too many of them because they're a surefire way to FPL rank suicide if you're not careful with hits. But if you know a player's good, they've got good stats, they've got good fixtures, then I'd highly recommend bringing them in, because those are the type of players that you're going to be wanting in your team for the long haul. And the other thing that you might want to consider is actually playing your wildcard early. So over the last 5 seasons, I've probably played my wildcard within the first 5 game weeks, just because at the start of the season, you just don't know that much information. By game week 4, by game week 5, possibly even by game week 3, might be a little bit early, but at least by game week 4, you do have quite a lot of information, and then you're able to set up your team for the long haul. The other reason I like to be aggressive is because of price rises. So taking advantage of those players that are rising quickly in price, because there's going to be a lot of transfer activity, really does pay off later in the season. So if you gain extra millions now, that extra million is going to be of benefit for the whole entire season. If you gain $1 million at Christmas, you only get half the season. So being aggressive and early with your transfers, that's how I like to play the game, and I like to build that team value early. So even if it means not having the best rank to start with, your team and your team value will build so you can really have a strong second half of the season. Okay, tip number 3 is omit your mistakes. This is such an important one. I know a lot of managers who come unstuck here. They get really fixated on one player. They defend him on Twitter and they say, this is the player that I'm going to stick with. And when actual fact, that player is not performing, you've got to recognize it. You've got to recognize it early and take that player out of your team. It sounds simple, but you've got to be quite active in the early season. It's kind of linked with tip 2. Admit your mistakes and move on. I do think there is a balance actually between admitting your mistakes and being patient, and that just comes with experience. Sometimes you do need to be patient with players, and if they still have good fixtures, they still have good stats, then actually you might want to be more patient with them. After all, you did get them in for a reason. If your pick doesn't have good fixtures, doesn't have good stats, then you need to get rid of them, and you need to get rid of them early. Similarly, if there's a player which is in all of your rivals' teams and is doing really, really well, but you don't kind of want to admit that it was a mistake not to bring them in, just don't do that. Just bring them in. If they're a good pick, they're going to be a good pick for the season. You can make those points up on your rivals from your other players. So don't go selecting players that are different just for the sake of it. Get those players in that score the most points, pure and simple. So pay close attention to fixtures and stats. I know I mentioned it earlier, but I thought I'd make it a separate point just because it is so crucial to doing well at Fantasy Premier League throughout the whole season, not just the start. And you can use the Hub fixture ticker and our brand new Opta Stats tool. I'll give you a quick demo of that now. Okay, very quick demo of our Hub fixture ticker. If you haven't come across it before, you can sort by game week. So you can look at certain game weeks in advance. You can also switch from attack and defense. You can also sort by overall fixture difficulty. Extremely useful, extremely valuable tool that I use every single week. Okay, so this is our brand new Opta Stats tool. This is going to be our my number one go-to resource for looking at stats. And it's basically got all the stats you could possibly need in one easy place. You can change the game week range, you can change the price structure, you can change what category of player that you look at, and you can also sort by points if you want. You can sort by shots, you can sort by all the key stats. We've got XG here, we've got expected assists, we've got absolutely all the stats you could possibly ask for. We've even got custom stats tables if you want to go down that route as well. So this is my go-to tool, but whatever you do, you've got to find somewhere that you can look at the underlying stats, because it's absolutely crucial to doing well at Fantasy Premier League. Okay, so I'm going to finish with a very controversial one here, and that is don't listen to your gut. It's kind of linked to point one, don't take punts. Your gut can sometimes come in. I'm not gonna suggest that it can't. So more often than not, your gut is wrong. So I know mine is often wrong, and I can be pretty confident that yours will often be wrong. What you've got to do is logically consider each of your moves, and also be careful of biases. So things like confirmation biases are so crucial when playing Fantasy Premier League, because you have this idea which in your head, which I want to bring in X player, and then you go out and you search for stats which back up that argument. You confirm that bias. So just be careful and consider the whole picture and logically consider each and every one of your moves, and you'll do well at Fantasy Premier League. It is very simple, this game, but don't overcomplicate it, and think about each move logically, and don't make rash decisions, and you'll be fine. Tip number 6 is become a Hub member. So now is the number one time to become a Hub member on site. You get access to the fixture ticker that I went over, the Opta Stats tool. You also get entry into a £5,000 mini league. You get access to Ben Crellin's planner. You get access to how to win an FPL video series, how to win FPL guide, comparison tools, rate my team tools, member Slack channel, over 100 articles each and every week, exclusive team reveals from top ranked players, some players with much better rank history than mine, I should say. Lots and lots of other resources. I won't go into all of them. I can't even mention them all on this one slide. So what I'd recommend is that you go check out the site. I'll leave a link in the description for our membership registration page, and you get an extra 10% off if you use coupon code YouTube when you check out. So that's coupon code YouTube when you check out. And that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy it, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn those notifications on. If you've got any comments, drop me a comment below, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye for now.